We are here today because the Reynolds administration will not let us audit the controls on over $100 million in tax dollars spent on vouchers. This morning we released a required report on the state's internal controls. It is a test of the state's processes and procedures that reviews the state's financial integrity for controls to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse. It's called a SAS 122 letter. It's required to be released 60 days after the ACFR. Today is that day. There are 14 findings in the report, 6 of which are considered material weaknesses. Material weaknesses are a big deal. That means that we can't say that the state has sufficient controls to detect financial reporting errors or waste, fraud, and abuse. 3 of these material weaknesses are related to the state's voucher program. Despite multiple requests, the Departments of Education and Revenue did not provide documentation that students receiving the vouchers met eligibility income requirements according to the law. They also did not provide documentation of proof of controls ensuring that this $100 million was adequately checked for waste, fraud, and abuse. And the Department of Education, in the third instance, refused to provide a report from Odyssey, that's the company that administers the program, called a SOC 2 report. That's about Odyssey's own protection of Iowans' personal data, confidentiality, and privacy. The other 3 material weaknesses are all related to unemployment benefits. They're all known, they are all defined. So those are in the report as well if you want to review those. The statutory requirement and the mission of this office is to shine a light on how the state spends your money, hold government agencies and lawmakers accountable, and help prevent waste, fraud, and abuse. We can't do that when the governor gives her approval to hiding documents and thumbing their nose at transparency for Iowans. It's our job to find out what's going on so that that information can be shared with Iowans after having been reviewed by an independent auditor. The bottom line is this: this administration won't let us audit the controls on $100 million in your tax money going out on vouchers program. That program is likely to grow to over $300 million next year. And we cannot say that it has appropriate and reasonable controls for waste, fraud, and abuse. They've also refused to provide proof that the personal data of Iowans is protected in the hands of its contractor. They are demanding, in essence, that you shorten Ronald Reagan's trust but verify to trust. No questions asked. With that, I'll take your questions.
Part of the response says that they could provide this information if you send a separate engagement letter for an audit of the ESA program. Your thoughts on that?
Sure. The Iowa Supreme Court has said twice that we don't necessarily need an engagement letter at all. However, we do have one for the ACFR. Our response in the report from our staff on that is the following sentence: collectively, the team members involved in this engagement and this finding have over 100 years of experience. And I'll also add the quote that we have here from 2 of the leaders in our office, Brian Bruskern and Pam Borman. They are both CPAs. I am the 4th state auditor that they have served underneath. As CPAs who have served under 4 state auditors, we can say that this report comes from the same mission of nonpartisan accountability as our work has for decades. As a new material state program, auditing standards require us to consider this program related to the ACFR. When the administration says you need to have a separate engagement letter, that is Pam and Brian and our entire professional staff saying this is related to the ACFR. We are CPAs, we are auditors, this is our job. I want to add, not only is it unanimous that the administration is wrong, personally I would say that that argument is intentionally wrong, because they need to be able to say something to hide this information. Our professional staff has repeatedly met with the administration, and from what I hear of those meetings, it makes me think of that saying, it's hard to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it.
Governor, Auditor Sand had a press conference right before this. He said that your administration won't let him see information about the ESA program that you requested through the annual audit. so he can't determine if there are proper internal controls for that program. Why won't you let him see that information?
Well, first of all, let me just say that Auditor Sands has been gunning for higher office since the day that he was elected. The auditor should be nonpartisan, non-biased, but he has publicly been against education freedom and ESAs since the day that we signed it into law, since we passed ESAs, and there's plenty of documentation to attest to that. He's said it often. If you look at social media, he's been very clear that he doesn't agree with it and that he's against it. And at the same time, this is a guy that has said he doesn't have time for auditing public schools. He clearly did not focus on auditing the courts, but instead he's been obsessed with a program that he's flat out against, just to score political points. So he's not a nonpartisan auditor. He's a political actor, and he's using his office for political gain. So
Is that why you declined to share the records? Because
no,
you
it's
feel
very clear. If you read the report, it will walk through exactly why we declined it. It's a bunch of technical information I can go through with you if you'd like me to. That's an ACFR. It's a financial report. This is a program. It's a process. He has the opportunity to review it with simply signing an engagement letter. He doesn't really want the answer. He wants the political fodder back and forth to really boast his political career, because that's what he's in there for. And if he really wants to get to the bottom of it, then sign the engagement letter, lay out what the scope of the work is, be transparent, and we will provide it. And that is all laid out in the response that we gave to them.
One thing that he said in response to that was that this, I think what came back from the Department of Management was that the request for observation on the controls was unheard of when it came to the ACFR process. He said the program itself is new, but requesting that type of information to make observation about controls is not new.
Well, we simply disagree. We have a disagreement on what we believe that law says, and we believe we're following the law. And simply, if he wants to look at it, it's this easy. Submit an engagement letter with the scope of the review, and he'll get the answers that he's looking for. The Department of Education has made it very clear that the program is doing what it's supposed to be doing, the controls are in place. But if he wants to verify that, then he needs to submit an engagement letter and a scope of work, and then we'll get him the information that he's looking for. But he's not doing that. So, he doesn't have time. Like, he clearly missed the boat on auditing the courts. He has said publicly he doesn't have time to do public school audits, but yet he seems to have a lot of time to go outside of the ACFR, which is the financial audit, to rail against a program that he said he wants to take down. So, he is not a nonpartisan auditor.